that because of the focus on the main character, we learn so much about them and grow so much with them that there is a level that the main character sometimes may only become an idea and not an actual character in itself. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Friday Podcast with me, Ren the Governor. For those who are new and don't know, I am the founder and creator of Friday Manga, an independent Christian manga company, which is also the host of the Friday Podcast, and I'm also a writer and illustrator of my original manga, Hunters of Illumis. I started this podcast to really help people think about the things that I think about as I go through my own writing process that would hopefully help you in your own writing journey as you create your own stories and adventures with characters that you want to tell the world about. In this episode, we're going to talk about writing main characters and really the way we want to place them within our story in terms of levels of importance and impact to that story. There's three questions I ask myself when I'm writing a story and where I'm placing my main character in. What perspective am I writing the story from? Is the character having to work to get to their level of importance in the world? Or is the story revolving around that character and all the journey that they go through? To go through, obviously, the perspective is, where are we getting this vision of the main character, the ideas, the knowledge that the character has? Are we moving along the journey with the character as they learn about things within the world that they're in? Or is there a level of us stepping back, not getting those monologues that the character may have, or the inner thoughts of the character, and that places us into a level of almost separation from the main character and more interest in the world in itself, while watching this one character story kind of being a fly on the wall, essentially, rather than kind of experiencing things with the main character through their inner thoughts and inner dialogue. Then you have, does the main character have to work up to their importance in the world, or does the world essentially revolve around that character? When we look at those two things, you have the different tropes. In terms of the second part of the world revolving around the character, you have those tropes of the character who is the chosen one, the character who has that inner demon inside of them, the character who was graced that ultimate power that they stumbled upon, and now it is the ultimate thing that everyone's chasing after. When you have those kind of stories play out, you have to really consider and think, as a character deals with this ultimate battle, what is going to be their struggles navigating as this chosen person, as this one who is to be the ultimate hero of the world that is there. Because as you go through all the different villains, all the different characters that enter within the story, those people are all in some way going to be weaved into the tree that points and starts with the main character. And to some people, that could be a very interesting story. I know a lot of people want their main character to feel important, want their main character to be this embodiment of something. But when you do that, there is a risk that you can run into having your character almost come off as uninteresting because there's so much extra attention put onto that character above the others who may be more interesting. I look at shows like Naruto, which I bring up a lot. I like Naruto a lot. I've watched Naruto a lot. Or Harry Potter, and so many other stories that have a character that has this chosen heroine aspect to them, that because of the focus on the main character, we learn so much about them and grow so much with them that there is a level that the main character sometimes may only become an idea and not an actual character in itself, which gives room for all the other characters to be characters, which makes the characters around them a lot more interesting in some ways because they aren't ideas, they're people navigating in the world. That's a risk that I think you can run into, especially if you, as the author, really want your character to be so fun, so entertaining, and people love this character. But because you made them this chosen character, and because you gave them so much screen time and exposure, it runs them and turns them into being almost the one you skip past because you're like, oh yeah, that's them. All right, on to whoever else I can get more information out of in this world. So that's just something to consider if you want to go the route where the main character is the focus of the world. The main character is the reason why a lot of characters do actions that they do. There's so much you can run into, and because you're exposing so much of the heart and so much of the desire of the character, you can run a lot of risk into that. But like I said, those ideas of making the character an ideal, something that you love to watch them grow, thinking of like One Piece, we follow Luffy throughout his whole time in the world. He didn't start off as one of the most important pirate, but now he's one of the strongest and one of the most important characters in the story, not just through the reader's eyes or the watcher's eyes, but through everybody else's eyes in the world. And it works because he does operate as an idea and as a model, as a captain. That's who he is. He's a captain, he's a leader. So it can be fun and it can be something that really gets people excited. But as you go through that and navigating that character, even with that, you want to consider the depth of your character and how deep you want that character to be. As they go through each journey and story, do you want it to just be that this character, no matter what happens, they're going to come out the same way, do the same things to surpass every trial? Or are they going to become different and change a lot more as the time and the story goes on? And then you have, does the character have to work up to be the most important character in the story? Now, in my story, Hunters of Illumis, my main character, Ume, she is a young girl from very humble beginnings, but comes from a very powerful tribe. So there is a level that she has her heightened, established place within the world, but also because she's very young and raw and unable to do certain things with her abilities and her powers, she has to work up to a lot of different things. So as a lot of more characters are exposed, there may be plenty of characters that don't know she even exists. Some characters may have motivations and actions that pertain nothing to my main character, which to me, I find more enjoyable. This is just a bias in the way I see it, because I love worlds that expand beyond the main character in a lot of different ways. The risk you can run into when you make your character have to work up to the goal is the main character getting lost in the weeds of everything. Now, I think if you're writing a vast amount of characters, your character can always get lost in some way. But when you watch a character who truly has to come from nothing, and there's so many other things that happen to the point that sometimes the character has to get sidelined to the story for other things to progress to then go back to them, your character can and may potentially get lost up in everything that's going on to the reader, that they may be like, oh wait, yeah, this is the person I'm supposed to be following. Now, for me, in the way I go about it, it's very purposeful in how I line everything up to the end of it, the end of the story, and how everything's going to push towards the end. But I understand that that is something very hard to pull together and really tell everyone and really take that risk to be like, hey guys, there's a payout at the end of this. I often think about Hunter x Hunter when it comes to having a character have to work to be important in the world. Now, obviously the story starts with Gon. The story navigates a lot of it around Gon. But as you get through the Chimera Ant arc, Gon gets very lost in the weeds a lot of the time. But that's honestly, I think, one of the best things that is done, because it first of all shows that the main character isn't the strongest in their world. It really, really gives an emphasis that they're not the strongest in the world. And it places such a higher level for them to get to. Like, honestly, because even though the anime ended at that arc, the manga can go on for a very long time, because we see that there's such a height that can be reached that has not yet been attained by our main character. That's one thing that I think really plays well. Now, for me, I have bias. I think Hunter x Hunter is the best manga of all time, and I think Chimera Ant arc is the best arc of all time. But I think that when we watch all those characters kind of go through everything, because remember, if you've seen Hunter x Hunter and you watched the Chimera Ant arc or read the Chimera Ant arc, you saw how it begun with this threat directly affecting Gon and his friend Killua, with Kite being kind of a victim to everything that happened. We wanted to see Gon attain his goal of saving Kite, which was so well done. As like we all, as the audience, kind of knew that Kite was gone, but Gon had so much hope that you were still kind of going through this whole journey, these several different events that, like, oh, maybe there's a chance. Maybe there is a chance. This guy believes so much that can happen. There's a chance. And you go through all that, and then the payout is seeing that reaction and the defeat of Pito, I believe it was, and just how all of that worked together to create this really heavy moment between Gon and Killua, by showing you, almost removing the characters several times. They had to be removed because they weren't strong enough oftentimes to fight this threat, but removing them a lot, not just narratively, but physically off of the battlefield, and then bringing them back to create this narrative that this is too big for them, and showing the depth of the impact of everything that happened. Now, it couldn't completely show fully all the way through the impact of how it affected every single person that was within that scenario, but I think that the weight of making Gon and Killua be so unimportant, to the point that they had to kind of work to gain their importance, and then still walk away scarred in different ways. It really was a very well done narrative that makes you, first of all, really feel and really try to see how the scenario is going to end, because now you know oftentimes the main character is going to make it out, but now there's this threat that this main character cannot beat. We know the main character can't beat it, and now we have to watch these other possible expendable characters fight this threat. That can be so tense and so emotional and so impactful in so many ways, that you are just trying to see what's going to happen next. Where are these, like, who's actually going to step up and win this battle? And so that's why I think that Hunter x Hunter did it so well, and why it can create a lot of different scenarios for the readers, depending on how it is done. But I think both play a role, a very heavy role, both making the character the main important thing within the world or making them unimportant, play a very big role in how the reader adapts to the story. Making them unimportant adds a level of variety. It makes things dynamic. It switches things up. Making the characters very important gives a level of, stability, comfortability. You know these characters are going to make it through and push through because the writer gave this character a very huge focus and made them very important to the story and to the plot of the whole world. Obviously, if the world ends and this character dies, game over. Nothing goes on past that. But with the character being unimportant, there's a lot of variety that you can swing around and do with different characters that aren't just the main character, because now they are just kind of a piece of the pie, a piece of the rest of the world and how everything navigates. And that's something I think you can really consider as you go about thinking about your main character, where you're placing them, and how important you're going to make them. So, how do you rate your main characters? What do you think about when you go into your story and want your character to be the focal point of your world? Leave a comment in the comment section below so that we can start discussion and really talk about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you want more content like this or are interested to see more, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when another video is available. And if you want to follow me on socials for any more of my art content, any more of my progress and journey as I go through making my manga, follow me in the links below in the description below. And if you want to buy the first volume of my manga, Hunters of Illumis, hit the link in the description below or go to www.fridaymanga.com and get the volume there. Appreciate y'all being here. Hope to see you guys later. Catch you in the next episode.